Man, a lot of talk over the week about revenge spot, and I use air quotes for Saints against Dennis Allen, for Kendre Miller. That didn't work out too well. Dennis Allen and his team were pitching a shutout late into the second quarter. Turned the Saints over 4 times, held them to 14 points, and Kendre Miller tore his ACL. So not exactly a great revenge spot for New Orleans. I think it starts for me very, very obviously with the Saints' complete inability to stop the run at all. At all. The Bears ran it 40 times for 222 yards on 5.6 yards per carry, pair of touchdowns. It just felt like time after time after time, Caleb Williams would hand the ball off, and DeAndre Smith and Kyle Monungai were getting 8 yards down the field before anybody even provided any resistance. Like, I feel like in the NFL, it's fairly rare for a running back to just get a head start moving down the field. Like, the guys at the point of attack in the NFL are pretty good at being where they're supposed to be and slowing down the run game. You just don't see teams run for 222 very often. So it was jarring to sit there and keep watching it. And the Bears kept running it and kept running it and kept running it, and the Saints just had no answer. And that's where ultimately this game was lost. Yes, Spencer Rattler turned the ball over 4 times. We can talk about that. The fumble was just careless. He's moving in the pocket, stepping up. You got to get another hand on the football. You can't be waving it out there. They're going to knock that loose every time. Then you had the 3 interceptions. The one on 4th down, who cares? There was nothing open. The Bears were in position there, and the ball got tipped, an interception, whatever. I thought the deep ball that he rolled to the left sideline and then just chucked it deep was an uncharacteristic play that we have not seen him make really this year. We've seen him be so safe, so comfortable, so careful, and I have challenged him to throw the ball down the field. He threw a great ball to Olave, and the touchdown to Olave was a beautiful throw. But this just felt a little bit forced with Shaheed down there to just wing it down there. And then the first pick was a really nice play by the Bears defensive back to undercut it. But this was Spencer Rattler's worst effort of the year. His QBR by ESPN was 30.5. His quarterback rating was 66.3. Again, I thought the touchdown throw to Olave, the one right before the half, was just gorgeous. But the turnovers are just a killer. But you're not helping him at all when you run the ball 17 times for 44 yards. The Saints had to get some sort of ground game established, and they couldn't do it. And that put too much pressure on the quarterback, who played a bad football game. You got a shot of, I mean, it looked awful. You're down 20-0. It looks like you're going to get run right off the field. And then you hit Olave with a deep ball and you score right before the half, and then you get the ball back and you get a touchdown to start the second half, and you've gotten into the game. But the way that the Bears were running it, you just weren't going to have a prayer there. It turned out to be a really devastating day for the New Orleans Saints because you've now lost Eric McCoy for the season with a knee injury. You've lost Kendre Miller for the season with a knee injury. You had been the healthiest team in the NFL entering this game. I read that from Jeff Duncan, and you leave with 2 really disappointing injuries. Obviously, McCoy is the best offensive lineman you have there at the center spot, and then you felt like you were getting something from Kendre Miller, and so he'll have to miss the rest of the season, and you'll have Devin Neal getting some reps. He had a great pass blocking rep where he decleated a Bear rusher, but only 1 carry for Neal. As far as the other aspects of this game go, I just didn't think the Saints rushed the passer all that well. You finally got a sack from Chase Young. He and Brian Brzee met at the quarterback, but Williams had some time, and he was able to go to work a little bit. But the running game just carried Chicago, and if you can't stop the run, you're going to lose every time, and the Saints did. On the other side of things, like the Saints tried to go to Taysom Hill to run the ball. You think Dennis Allen's ever seen Taysom Hill in the game? You think he's ever seen that package? I mean, just blew that thing up in the backfield easily. And then the last thing here, and I'll be pretty declarative on this, I'm stunned. It is 1:36 on Monday afternoon. I am stunned that Blake Grupe is still on this football team. Stunned. I mean, I understand if you've got a defensive lineman who is not very good at pass rushing, but he's very good against the run. You can get something out of that. I understand if you've got a wide receiver that's not a deep threat, but he's really good around the sticks. There's an aspect. There are aspects to those positions. There is one aspect to place kicker. Kick it through the uprights, and he sucks at it. He misses a field goal every week. And you might say, well, it's 53 yards. I don't care if it's 53 yards. Everybody makes 53 yarders. Go to Dallas. That guy makes it from the other side of midfield with ease. Now, he may be the best kicker ever, but Grupe misses a field goal every week. Now, this is not a big deal to the Saints organization because Blake Grupe's field goals this year will have no bearing on the Saints' win and loss record in whether or not they make the playoffs. So it's the Saints are far enough away from contending that your current field goal kicker doesn't really matter. But you got to get rid of him. He doesn't make kicks. He has missed 6 field goals. There are countless guys waiting for a tryout. Get Charlie Smith involved. Go sign somebody who's gotten cut. Everybody else does that. Sean Payton did it for a decade and a half. But it can't be Grupe anymore. Again, it's not a big deal because it's a big deal for a playoff team because those are wins and losses that you could be leaving out there. And good teams play a lot of close games that come down to kicks. The Saints aren't good. They don't play a lot of close games. They don't come down to kicks. It doesn't matter. But I've seen enough. Move on. Got to do it. Now, as far as Olave goes, that's the last thing on my note sheet. 5 catches, 98 yards, and the 2 touchdowns, his first multi-touchdown game. Does that change my opinion on whether or not the Saints need to engage in extension talks? Not really. Not really. I still think he's an asset that if you could get something for him, I wouldn't mind at all in the next 2 weeks trading him. If you can negotiate a reasonable price for him with an understanding he is not a number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, then I'm okay keeping him around. He's fairly young, and he'd be a solid 2. He'd be a really good 3. He's not a 1. So, as is the case with all of these negotiations, it's a matter of what the price tag is and whether or not you want to pay it. And I have no idea what they're talking about in terms of dollars and cents, so I can't accurately give a take on whether or not it's a quality discussion to have. But Sunday does nothing to me to sway me one way or another. I still think he is a league number 2 who should be paid that way. And if he's paid that way, then I'm okay with it. If he's paid significantly more than that because he's a first-round pick and he's technically your number 1 receiver on this team, no thanks. Not because he had 2 touchdowns against the Bears. The Saints fall to 1-6, 0-3 away from home. I foolishly picked them to win the game back on Friday. That was a bad decision on my part. That will not be happening, I don't think, moving forward very much. But it was just you just got beat by a team that's better than you, by a coach that was hired in your cycle that it looks to have things really rolling there in Chicago, by your former head coach who had something to say in the postgame about, hey, you're not good enough for there. That's perfectly fine. I'm happy here. It's hard for me to jump on Dennis Allen for saying that in his own locker room. I know that Saints fans are going to hate him and despise that message. Look, he beat your butt today. He's in his locker room. He can say whatever he wants to his team. I don't have a huge problem with that. It's just if you want to shut him up, you got to go score more than 14 points. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.